What's up, Chumbags? Welcome back to the HQ. My name is Suri, and today I'm joined by Alexa to answer some questions. Like, did Anakin kill Padme? Now, here's the
Why do you
thing.
say your
Here's
name like that?
what
You add a syllable. Like you say Padme. So just
Padme.
Padme.
Oh, I'll say how it's pronounced. So this conversation began
A couple days ago.
a couple days ago because I had watched Dune Part
Some
Two.
bonus content on my stream is I'll be cleaning off my nail polish that's all chipped
Yeah, and
while we chat.
bonus content on my stream, I'll be giving you guys random thumbs up through my thoughts.
Cool.
But nevertheless, I watched Dune, and I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of talking through the kind of similarities or differences between Dune and Star Wars. Um, and it was essentially, I mean, like the idea of there's like clearly talking points that are similarities of
Right.
like
Like
it's
Star
just
Wars was
it's
at least heavily
desert,
inspired.
like
Two
two moons,
suns.
uh,
Well, it's two suns on Tatooine,
two
isn't it?
suns, whatever. You get it what I mean. It looks cool when you look at the night. When you look at the sky, it's not just one star, one object. It's two.
Well, the moon's not
Um,
a star.
Alexa, please. In my eyes, the moon is a star.
Ow, ow. I have a hangnail
Um,
cut apparently. Let me tell you, a nail polish remover hurts. This is working
Glad
better
you
than I thought it
interjected.
would. It's going to be done really fast.
I'm glad you interjected to add that. Um, if I had known, I would have showed up for the. I would have showed up for this convo. The convo happened off stream, but nevertheless, this did spark a few questions. Um, Mainly resulting in like a disagreement between me and Alexa because I said that Anakin didn't kill Padme,
Padme.
and that's exactly how I'm going to keep saying it for the rest of the stream.
You always say
And
it that way. I've corrected you many
and
times.
and Alexa believes that Anakin did do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying. Okay, let me defend myself here before we get. Don't listen to her straight. I'm not going to. Thank you. Um,
You might agree with me, Joey. We'll see.
no, I think he's talking about Padme, like the way I say Padme.
Oh,
Um,
is he saying it right? Am I saying it wrong?
you say Padme lovely. Oh, thank you, Joey. I appreciate that. That's all I really needed. So anyway, my 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 perspective is that I I don't think that he's not involved in killing her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think he does have a part in the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I also don't think he killed
I
her
think if it were not for
directly.
him, she would not have died. Like if it were not for his actions of choking her, force choking her, she would not have died. Joey just came to my chat and say that I say it right, by the way, about Padme. I just want you to know
So his
that.
hands. I mean, look, the force choking. That's just hands-free BDSM. I don't really understand the problem there.
No, he like choked her, but she went into labor early.
Uh-huh. And then he dies of heartbreak. She dies of
No, she
heartbreak.
dies.
I'm just saying. First of all, Nomad. He says Darth
My mom came in. Oh man, spoiler alert.
Darth
She's
Padme.
never made
Wait,
it
is it?
past like 30 minutes. Yeah, it's Padme. It's Padme. It's just
Oh,
Padme. There's no third
it's not
syllable.
Padme. Oh
No, it's
shit!
not.
Wow. Well, that's fucked.
The
My
only
whole life.
argument that I could see for saying Anakin didn't kill Padme, it's not responsible for her death, is if you say
Oh,
that
it's
he was already Darth Vader.
Padme.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Padme
saying. Padme.
with an e with an e a little accent over the e, a tilde over the e. Is that it? Tilde?
But I
I don't
don't
know.
think he became Darth Vader until after her death. I think that was his final straw. That's how I view the Anakin to Darth Vader change.
No, yeah, sure,
So
sure. There's a technical aspect to the
Padme wouldn't have
fact that
died if not for Anakin's actions.
no. So there's a technical aspect that I think Joey brought up on our Discord where we kind of kind of started this
Mm-hmm.
conversation about how, yeah, there is a distinction between
Oh, I got
like
just my thumb left.
Anakin and Darth Vader, and like how you want to say what. Joyce says, I like the way you say it. Thank you. Force choking a pregnant lady seems like the wrong move. Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. But no, okay. First of all, how many guys in chat have seen Dune? I want to know across both chats. Feel free to go over to Alexa's chat and also say something. To answer the question, I guess if you have some sort of weird sick interest. Um, but nevertheless, how many guys have
Dune
seen
Part
Dune?
2,
Dune
not
Part
just
Two?
Part 1.
Because and Joey, as someone who is a fellow, our resident Star Wars expert, I am curious about if how many similarities you've noticed between Dune and Star Wars. Alexa, you're making a lot of noise for someone
I just finished taking off
who's,
all my nail polish.
um, but anyway, I'm still perplexed by this idea. By this idea of what? I cannot see it. Well, here's the thing. So initially, I didn't
I'm
have
trying to touch my eye.
the I was talking about how the conversation started with comparing the movies, but apparently, this is something that Frank Herbert himself. This is the reason why I actually started this conversation, because there's a lot of conversation about about these two universes. Um, what with like the sandworms and whatever the pit the Sarlacc
The
pit, right? That
C3PO.
Well, and then yeah, and then ultimately the thing that kind of sent us over the edge was that there's actually a direct. There's a
Quotes.
lot of discussion when Frank Herbert was alive, and Star Wars had come out about like, oh, is it like inspired, and what you like, asking Frank Herbert what he thought of that, and uh, he remained kind of like, I think he said like, I'm not gonna like sue them as long as they don't give me a reason to or whatever. But then there's actually there's a line, and I think one of like the third book here where that has like a reference that to like a kind of a jab at Star Wars, I think is what it was. So let's see, Dune.
I thought it was just a
Um,
quote that he said. I didn't think it was in one of the books.
no, no, no.
You were watching the video more than I was about that. That
Yeah.
wasn't really my
So
argument. My argument was about
okay, here
Andrew.
it is. This is this is actually this is posted on the Dune subreddit, and so this is just noticed this while reading Dune Heretics for like the third time. So this is, I guess I'm just gonna read this. So for the most, this is quote from the book. For the most ancient times, the knowledgeable had preferred to surround themselves with the fine woods rather than with the mass-produced artificial materials known then as Palestine, Polaz, and Pormed, Pormabit, Porm Oh my God, Pormabat. Laterally, Tyne, Laz, and Bat. Okay, Jesus Christ. I haven't read the books yet. I'm just gonna keep going. As far back as the old empire, that had been a pejorative label.
Struggling over
Fuck
there.
me. God damn. Why did he write this like this? I'm just gonna keep reading. Label for the small. Okay. As far back as the old empire, there had been a pejorative label for the small, rich families minor arising from the knowledge of a rare wood's value. Quote, is a 3PO, they said, meaning that such a person surrounded themselves with cheap copies made from déclassé substances. That's the meat. Okay, that's all you really need to hear, that he's a 3PO, and it's spelled like it's the word, the number 3 and then P dash O, meaning that such a person surround themselves with cheap copies made from declasse substances. So obviously, with that, and then it goes on to say, even when the supremely rich were forced to employ one of the distressful 3POs, they disguised it where possible behind OP, the only P, pill. I'm not gonna fucking say it, but essentially, that was the jab. That was the
Yeah. I'm
not
painting
the
my
jab.
nails, by the
I
way,
don't
now
think it was a
on
jab. I
my
think it.
channel.
Oh, and actually, right there. What'd you say?
I'm painting my nails now on my channel. If anyone's
Oh,
watching.
nice. There's actually someone in this on this Reddit post actually list. This is a great list of Dune Star Wars comparisons. We've fallen down the rabbit hole. Let's keep going. I
So are
wasn't
we
planning
going
on this.
into this now instead of continuing our discussion about did Anakin
Oh,
kill Padme?
well, I want to start off. Okay, here it is. Here it is.
Okay, we can
Well,
start off with
it's
this.
because the Joey was was like, oh, I don't see it. So I now
Okay,
here
okay.
it is. I have a list of things that apparently, and again, I haven't looked at this list. I just found this.
Right now.
Um, when are you gonna paint your nails straight? You know, my nails are actually painted right now. It's see through. Yeah, you guys can't tell. Okay, and shot fired, but again, it did not see the straight off rip off versus being inspired. Here we go. All right, let's look at this list. So Star Wars versus Dune. So in Star Wars, there's Princess. I get going through this blind.
Mm,
There's okay in Dune
sounds good, Joey.
In Dune there's Princess Alea, pronounced A dash Leia. In Star Wars, is Princess Leia. In Dune, a villain turns out to be I don't want to spoil anything. Spoilers for Dune Part 2, I guess, or Dune. But in Dune, the villain turns out to be the hero's grandfather. In Star Wars, the villain turns out to be the hero's father. Arrakis is a desert planet. Tatooine is a desert planet, sure. Sandcrawler, vehicle piloted by Arakans used to mine for spice. Sandcrawler, vehicle piloted by Jawas, left over from a forgotten mining era long ago. There's dew collectors and there's moisture farms in Star Wars. Spice is the most valuable commodity in the universe, mined from Dune, and spice mines of Kessel mentioned in passing. The voice, the Bene Gesserit ability with which
Wait, did you say that
controls the actions
he's
of
the
others.
son of the enemy in Dune? Or oh no, you said Star Wars. Never mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then there's the Jedi mind tricks, obviously. Prana
Mm.
Bindu, the Bene oh wow, Prana Bindu, the Bene Gesserit training technique, which gives them excellent internal control as well as supernatural prowess in combat. In Star Wars, there's Jedi Bendu, the Jedi training technique, which gives them excellent internal control as well as supernatural prowess in combat. Then the fucking vision of Peridot kind, and there's vision of Peridot Kynes appears to late Kynes in the desert while he's dying. In Star Wars, there's a vision of Obi-Wan appears to Luke on Hoth while he's seemingly dying. We're almost done, by the way. This is not a very this list isn't much more extensive.
Okay.
The Spacing Guild in Dune has a monopoly on shipping and transportation in space. In Star Wars, the Trade Federation has a monopoly on shipping in space. Alea practices her technique against an automated training dummy in Dune, and Luke practices his lightsaber technique against an automated training remote
That
in
feels a
Star Wars.
little stretched. I'm not gonna lie.
That's
That
yeah. I
one's a
feel like
little like that's just
that's just
training.
a train a
Right. That's
remote
training
training
technique in a
ability.
sci-fi thing. Like
Yeah. Uh, there's one, two, three, four more left. All right, in Dune, the Duke's ornithopter barely escapes from the jaws of a giant sightless sandworm before it falls back into the dunes. And then there's the Millennium Falcon barely escapes the jaws of a giant sightless space slug before it falls back into the asteroid. Of course, famous scene.
mm,
In Dune, Paul spies on the Fremen using electronic binoculars, and then Luke spies on the Sand People
again,
in Star Wars using electronic
that one's also
binoculars.
very
Yeah.
like come on, bro.
Last two, the suspensors, small device in Dune. There's suspensors, small devices which can uh, counteract gravity, used to suspend the Baron Harkonnen and the glow globes. In Star Wars, there's the repulsor small devices which counteract gravity, used in land speeder bikes, pod racers, and Jabba's barge. And then last one, in Dune, Leto 2, the God Emperor of Dune in 1981, is a worm slug thing about 15 feet tall with human-like facial features, arms, and hands, who sits atop a dais. And then obviously, this compares to Jabba, who's, oh, wow. Okay, so Jabba, who first appeared in 1983, so 2 years after Leto 2, who is a worm slug thing about 15 feet tall, with, 15 feet long, with human like facial features, arms, and hands, who sits atop a dais.
Okay.
So there it is.
So my
Those are,
opinion on that list is um the so I saw this movie called like The Voyeurs, and they watched people with binoculars, so they also copied Dune.
that's a stupid comment, because I think there are actually
There are good
genuine
ones
like
on there, but like a lot
I
of
mean
those
like
are dumb. I would say
not a
like
lot of
half the
those.
list.
That's like five or so, but I mean, but again, I didn't know about all these comparisons until I'm actually
No, some of
reading
them
it
are
here,
legit.
and so you can certainly tell. I think especially it's not entirely reaching, because you have to understand, like, these are like released within years of each other, right? Like Dune is part of the zeitgeist of the
Mhm.
time. Obviously, it's a part of the zeitgeist again now,
Yeah.
because of the movies. But Dune is like, the part of the zeitgeist when you just a few years later you have you have Star Wars coming out, that's kind of building off of that. Now, look, um I'm just looking through. I don't necessarily think that, like I said, all these points are accurate, but there's still
Mhm.
certainly quite a few similarities. And clearly it was enough for
Frank
Frank
Herbert to
Herbert
be upset. Yeah.
to write about it, and um, but I mean, I'm curious. Like, so I've been talking. Do you have further thoughts on that? Is
I mean, I think it was heavily inspired. I think that George Lucas is probably a big fan of Dune, and like he may have not even realized how much he copied, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
As he was coming up with stuff, but definitely that's my opinion of it. Honestly, I don't think any of it was like an intentional I'm going to copy Dune. Like, you know what I mean? But you can't ever know. We
See,
could ask George Lucas. He's still alive. Did he ever reply? Did he ever make any comments on that?
why would he?
I don't know. Just curious if he did.
No, I don't think so. But
Hey, loading. Thanks, Mom. I finished. This hand has two coats. So I'm gonna let it sit, and then I'm gonna do this hand, and then I'm gonna do the top coat.
I also went to the beach, so I am also Dune. Oh, you touch some sand and let it flow through your fingers? Did you sniff some sand
It's
and get
okay,
high?
Joey. Sometimes, so at work, so Joey accidentally called me Alex because that is at the end of a sentence and the A didn't register. He's claiming, and so I get called Alex occasionally, and like I don't mind like all the time. Like it doesn't like bother me. But the one thing is, so I sign all of my emails. Like at work, if I send out an email, I sign every single one Alexa. Like it says Alexa. And sometimes people reply to my emails, "Hi, Alex." And that gets me a bit because it's like, did you not read the email? Like, it says Alexa. But
Yeah,
that's the only time it gets
yeah,
me because I'm like, it's right there. Like, right there. But, anyways, continue. I don't know. It doesn't bother me when someone like accidentally mistypes it or something. That's fine.
yeah. And again, I think that like there's like the reason why I think I'm a little bit more. I mean, spending more time on this, like in terms of just like talking about it now that I've
Hmm.
seen all these all these things.
Yeah. What are your
Uh,
thoughts? You've read it, but you haven't given your thoughts.
it, is that like I think that there's I understand that like there is the idea of story tropes, right? Like that's one of the reasons why I'm not like I'm not the kind of person who's like, oh yeah, like Harry Potter's ripping off of Star Wars, even though that's clearly like a common like
Because
thing that's
it's
discussed
like the basic
about,
epic story. You
but
know what I mean?
okay, that's not.
Hero's
It's the
journey.
hero's
That's
journey, is what
yeah.
it.
That's
Yeah,
what I was trying to say.
it's the hero's journey is what you're looking
Whatever.
for,
This nail
and
polish
and
is
so
really
like I kind
strong
of
smelling.
I get that because that stuff has been happening since like I mean like if we're going back, I mean like the
Always.
like the you know like I don't know if I can the Vedas from India I'm sure have a lot of hero journey. The Odyssey from Greek, etc. etc.
Um,
But it is again I think that mainly because of the fact that they're right after each other, one after the other. That's like kind of makes you
makes
go,
it a
okay,
little worse. Yeah.
maybe it was like
And they're the
yeah,
same
maybe it was like a
genre, and they were both like groundbreaking in that genre. You know, like Dune as a book and Star Wars as a movie.
what'd you say?
I said also because like they were both the same genre and they were both groundbreaking in the genre. You know what I
Oh
mean?
wait,
Like,
there's this thing is Lucas has often acknowledged Dune as an inspiration. In early drafts of the Star Wars script, the influence was much more obvious. The story was full of feudalistic houses and dictums, and the treasure the princess was guarding wasn't the Death Star plans, but a shipment of aura spice. The
all
final
right.
version of
So
Star
what I'm
Wars is
hearing is
related
Star
to
Wars was a
Dune.
Dune fan fiction.
The final version of Star Wars is related to Dune mostly in spirit, a science fiction heroic fantasy treated seriously. Um,
That's what
all
I
the ideas
misunderstood
George
from what
Lucas
you
has
said.
inherited from Frank Herbert. The subtle lesson was how to use the science fiction to create myth. His lesser borrowings might include, and then it goes into the list.
So
So,
much like the book I read, that was apparently inspired, like began as a Star Wars fan fiction. I didn't know until I finished the book, and it has no connection to Star Wars at all. Um, Star Wars was a Dune fan fiction. It had less edits though. Shoot,
so what? Wow, that was loud. I didn't mean to
do
just
you
get
agree with
everyone's
that?
attention with that. So I mean, okay, we've talked about now, Joey. Your question has been answered, right? About the of about the any similarities between them. Now we know there are some. I'm not saying one copied the other. I'm just saying that there are, in fact, similarities,
And one
which
came
led to this
first.
conversation. And so the goal was to determine if Anakin killed uh
Say it
Padme.
right. You got this. Oh, good job, Suri.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Proud of you.
Now, I do think that Alexa made a
I
fair
just did
point.
a spectacular job with my left hand, and I just really want to talk about it for a second. Like, this might be some of the best nail painting I've
I'm not
ever
even gonna give.
done. I need to always do it while distracted talking on stream, apparently. Continue.
I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna compliment you, but I'm not. You cut me off, and now
Oh,
I'm not gonna say it.
okay. Well, all right. So, what about Anakin and
You
Padme?
don't know what Dune has to do with that argument. So the argument was like
That's a great
um,
question.
about how like
Thanks, Joey.
the, we were
Oh, and have a
comparing
nice day at work loading. Thanks for
things,
stopping by.
specifically. We're comparing things specifically, right? Now, I didn't notice all these differences. Mine was what I said earlier. Was a dune and there's a desert. There's fucking, two moons or whatever.
Two
Um,
sons.
two suns. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point, like, but one of the other things I was comparing it to was like, okay, is the protagonist of this story that for this portion of the story, I should say. I haven't read
Becomes an
the books. I don't know
antagonist.
how much it changes.
Yeah, we don't know the full
Sure, you could
story.
say that. You could say that word. Um, if they kill the romantic interest was what it was.
Because yeah, you were saying that they like screw over their romantic interest or something. What was your phrasing? And I was like, well, Paul didn't kill her because that was how it started.
Oh yeah. Well, but here's the thing though. Both of them, Anakin, see, they both have to leave. They both can no longer be with the person that they love, even though they mean it in a good way, right? Like
Yeah, but the
Paul
difference is Anakin
is
killed the person he loves, and as he became Darth Vader,
oh, and
and
so and again,
Paul
this was my
just
point
was a bit of a
my
dick.
point was that he was like so he was trying to Anakin was trying to find a way to say like that was the goal, right? Like that's what reason why he was able to be manipulated was because he was he knew that he wanted to save Padme. He didn't want to lose anyone else,
You know,
and
I've been
he went
telling
down a
you
bad
for
path.
years to pronounce it Padme instead of Padme, and you've never corrected it until tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Similarly, Paul loves Shani. I think that's her name,
Yeah, something like that.
and she has to, and he has to leave her because he like that's the one thing that he knows
But also,
will keep her safe.
he doesn't necessarily have to leave her because, like, his mom was not married to his dad, or well, not
Yes,
yeah, to his
Alexa,
dad.
but he has to marry the princess.
Yeah, but he can have her on the side.
That's not what.
He doesn't love the princess. He has to marry her. It's a
That doesn't
political
change
thing.
anything. Also, Shawnee left him. He didn't
Yeah,
she left the room when everyone else was bowing.
overreacted.
I feel like now you just throwing this conversation out of. I was having a serious conversation.
I'm being serious too.
You just said she overreacted when he said,
Yeah.
I'll always love you." Then turned around and said, "I want to fucking marry your daughter to the emperor."
Yeah, because
What do
he
you mean?
had to. He saw the
That doesn't
future. He knew
fucking
what he
change
had to do.
anything.
Yes, he does. It completely changes it. He did what he had to do, not what he
Okay,
wanted to do.
all right. Similar note. Anakin did what he had to that
By
he
force
believed in.
choking the woman he loved, that's what he had to do. That's what he had to
No.
do. Harming the person he loved.
Okay, how did he
See,
get there,
that's the
Alexa? How
difference.
did he get there?
It doesn't matter. Has Paul hurt her? Has he ever hurt her? No. He told her the truth and then did what he had to do. Meanwhile, Anakin
No.
killed
Okay,
her.
so I mean, yeah, even the princess knows he wants her. Yeah, Alexa and Joey. I think Joey's backing me up. He could just be spitting some facts,
You
but he
better not be
says
saying Yas
it's
Queen in
because
my chat and then going and backing Sri up in his, Joey. I
Qui
know it's for
Gon
my nails though.
died, and that's what sent Anakin over the edge.
Qui-Gon?
Um, Qui Gon Jinn.
Mm. Is that what you're saying or Joey's saying?
That's what Joey said.
Qui-Gon died a bit before, didn't he?
The duel of the
When
fates.
did he die?
The duel of the fates.
Yeah. That was before he became Darth Vader.
That's what he was. That's the point Joey made. I don't know. I don't know what he hasn't backed that up by anything else. I'm just reading the chat.
It's okay, Joey. I'll listen. All right.
Go ahead. Are you going to say? Is there something to follow up to that, or?
No. I'm finished with my nails mostly. I just need to do the top coat. So
Go ahead.
I don't think you've rebutted my point at all.
What's your
From
point?
what I
do you mean?
said, that there's a difference. So Paul said so he told her the truth. I love you. I will love you till my dying breath. But he has to do something he doesn't want to do. But he loves her. Right? But he's doing what he needs to do for that one path where it all works out. And meanwhile, Anakin wants to save her. He has this whole thing in his head. You know, when I want to save someone, I don't choke them out. Just like a hot take. Hot take. If I'm like, I want that person to live, I don't choke them until they're struggling to breathe. Like, while they're pregnant. Like, just don't. That's my hot take. If you could do that to someone, then
Joey's
you
saying
don't really love them.
like Qui-Gon was the
I know there's
master
more
that
to it than
Anakin needed to be the chosen one. Had he survived, Anakin would have had the father figure that he needed to healthily process his fears.
Interesting.
Which is fair. Because as much as you know, Obi-Wan was kind of like a mentor, he certainly
He messed
I
up.
think he only did it because no, I think he only really took that responsibility upon himself because Qui-Gon asked, and I think Qui-Gon was the only person who really saw Anakin for what he was.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? But nevertheless, that is a literal reason. That's what I do. I come up with literal reasons.
Yeah, but there's more to it, but I still think that you can't compare their relationships as of right now. There might be more happen in Dune, where maybe he does hurt her. But as of right now, I don't think you can compare their relationships based on Dune Part 1 and 2 and my knowledge of Star Wars, which is limited. I will, I'm not as well versed as Joey, obviously. I've never read one of the books. But I've
Oh,
seen
so
all the
you're not as well
movies.
versed as me
Okay,
either.
you've never read a book in this era. You read the historic Old Republic books. That doesn't help with this
What the
argument.
fuck? Okay, Alexa. I did actually read graphic novels in this era, so
I read one as well. And it was
yeah,
actually the
but not
next
about
era.
Darth Vader.
No, I
Not
didn't
about
read the Darth
Anakin
Vader one.
becoming
You're
like
right.
not about the moment, not about that,
I have a
Alexa.
hard time with the graphic novels because I like don't look at the pictures. I just like read through it fast, and then like you miss the story.
I also always feel that graphic novels have too many photos. Let's put them words in there, man. Like, what are we doing with all these
Too many
photos?
words.
Just make them all letters.
No,
Breaking
it's true.
news.
I know that he had a lot going on is how he got to choking his wife. Like there's a whole lot that builds up to that. Obviously, I'm saying it simply, but like at the end of the day, that's what happened. Like, like I know he had shit going on, he killed a bunch of children and all that jazz. Was going through it emotionally. But I don't know. My opinion still wasn't warranted. I think
See,
that
again, I can
if he
keep going back
truly
and
loved
forth.
her, here's the thing: if he truly loved her, in my opinion, he would not have hurt her because he would have been able to fight past the Emperor's manipulation to love her. Exactly. Love is a strong word for what he had. Agreed. He did not love her. That's the point. But Paul, I think, does love Chani. Or is that her name? Did I say that right?
Shawnee,
Shawnee.
I think is it.
That's it. I think it's spelled with a CH, but it's pronounced SH. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I say you can't compare them. I don't think you can compare the relationships. I think they're too different. That's my opinion. That's my overall argument that I was making. But then it also got while I was making that argument, Sri tried to argue me that Anakin didn't kill her.
Well, because she died from fucking like a broken heart.
No, she did not. Get those words out of your mouth.
Yo, let's cut to this fucking again. We're using Reddit for this, baby. I'm backing this shit up as far as I can. I'm not going down without a fight. Here we go. This is someone
she
named
would not have died if not for him choking
Shut up,
her.
Alexa. Let me finish. Snagalip on Reddit says Padme died from broken heart. Palpatine had nothing to do with it. I keep seeing people assert that Palpatine sucked the life force out of Padme to keep Anakin alive, or that the cause of her death is up to interpretation, but that is not the case. It is strongly implied, if not outright stated by the film, that Padme died because she lost the will to live. This is how most people interpret the movie because it is what the movie was clearly trying to get across, and indeed what George Lucas has explicitly says as what happened. Quote from Star Wars Archives, 1999 to 2005. Quote, George Lucas, of course, Padme doesn't get to take part in the rebellion because she goes into childbirth and dies. Paul Duncan says it's implied that she lost heart. George Lucas, yes, her soul has been crushed. The thing that breaks Padme's heart in the end is that Anakin says to her, "Come and join me. I have all the power now. I can rule the universe, and you can do it with me." So the idea of saving her life has become a minor issue, and that's when she says, "Wait a minute, this is not what I want, and you're not the guy I fell in love with." Now, I'm going to keep going. It's very important thematically that in seeking to prevent Padme's physical death, Anakin ends up killing Padme's spirit. That's the central irony. If Palpatine is actually the one who kills Padme using the never explained or seen life-sucking force gimmick, then it weakens the direct causal connection between Anakin's actions and Padme's death to the detriment of the story. Alexa?
No, you're fine. Is this dad chatting,
also,
or is this my mom? Because they just wrote she was killed by Palpatine, and I don't even think my mom knows who Palpatine is.
Also, Also, in case that's not enough, there's an excerpt from the
I don't think
revised
she was
second
killed.
draft of Revenge of the Sith, which was included in the making of Revenge of the Sith. And this is an actual quote from the second draft of Revenge of the Sith. Quote, later, it is clear that Padme is dying of a broken heart. Medical droid. Medically, she is completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we're losing her. She has lost the will to live. I'm dropping the fucking
He killed her.
microphone, you bastards.
He still killed her.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
No, I don't think Palpatine killed her. Mom Googled
Yeah,
it.
but broken heart syndrome is a thing.
It's not a
And
thing.
that's what I'm saying. Anakin didn't fucking kill her. I mean, he did have a part. I've not said that. I've not denied that. But it is her will to live
But
that
is it
she
not
has
his
lost.
fault that she lost the will to live? Therefore, making her death his fault? Therefore, he killed her?
No, Alexa, because okay, if her love was so strong, Alexa, she would have been like, "Oh, actually, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna fix him. He's a fixer-upper. She
Joey
could have
agrees
done
with
that.
me.
She simply lost the fucking will to live. She had 2 children and was like, I'm not taking care of these fuckers, and then fucking dies. That's the movie. We all watched it.
See, Joey says it is his fault she lost it, but also, yes, she has a point. Wouldn't hold up in court of law, says my mom. That he killed her. That's
What'd you
true.
say?
Him killing her wouldn't hold up in a court of law.
Exactly. And you know what? That's all I was asking. That's all I was saying. I'm glad it took us 43 minutes to get to this point, but I'm glad I
36.
finally won. Oh my
right.
god.
So Anakin did kill Padme. That's our final
That is not even close. Not even close.
agreement.
Anyway.
All right.
I've made my point. I've made
Are
my
we on to
points.
the next topic now?
Sure, you can bring
I
in the
finished
next
my
topic.
notes.
I've won. I've won.
So we were going to talk about the books we've read this year.
Go ahead. Go ahead. How many books have you read,
I've
Alexa?
read 7 books this year.
Oh, no, sorry. Joey says no, I'm not done. Joey, go ahead. Go ahead, leave your
I'm not. He just wrote, I'm not done in all caps.
There's
in
still
my
more
chat.
to it, but we can also pin the blame on Mace Windu.
Oh, okay. I can see that. I can see that.
Mace Windu.
Mhm.
Now, are you saying that because he's not like he's responsible for not putting Anakin on the council, you know?
So essentially, all the Jedi are responsible for Padme's death. It's Qui-Gon. It's Wait, can we go back to the 14-year-old marrying the 9-year-old that Joey mentioned? Yeah, that's Anakin and Padme, Mom.
Yeah.
That's what
Also,
ages they were when they met.
she dies very fast for a woman that groomed a child. You know what I mean? She gives up on him very easily. He's like, I'm turning bad, and she's like, well,
Yeah,
it goes years of my life.
No, their love is like not great. That's what I'm saying. I think Paul and Shawnee's love is a lot more pure.
Oh, I think you. Sorry, Joey. Let
Better
me just put up.
than Anakin
Let me just
and
put
Padme's.
up the chat right here.
And I love Padme.
So Joey says here. Yeah, this is a spelling mistake. I think you meant I'm not Dune. Go ahead.
Terrible.
It feels nice to be validated. You know what I mean? As Joey says, this is actually a valid statement. It's what I do, Joey. I make valid statements. Mace Windu disrespected Anakin constantly and set him up for manipulation. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He denied him the seat at the council. He also had kind of tried to double cross the Emperor and tried to be like or Palpatine and be like, oh, can you spy on Palpatine for us? Which clearly didn't like. I think that the Mace pretty much discouraged Anakin from his what his thoughts of like his trust in the council, I think, was kind of ruined by that kind of by that statement. And then for Anakin, that inverse of that is that the emperor was like straight up like while the council's like you're not allowed to sit in here, but we can use you as a spy to do this. Fucking Palpatine's like, do you want to know the ways of the dark side? You
Mhm.
can heal your loved ones. He's gonna give.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
had a good sales
fucking
pitch.
yeah. So
Anakin and Padme never actually got married because he's a Jedi and they can't get married.
yeah.
So they met when she
No,
was
wait.
14 and he was
I thought they
9.
do get married. I thought they
Do
ran
they?
away and get married together.
I don't think
Joey,
so.
please.
They
Yeah, they
totally
totally
did?
did. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. They totally. Yeah, yeah.
I thought they
Cool, cool,
never
cool.
actually got
Alexa,
married.
you're fucking. I don't even know why you're involved in this Star Wars
I
discussion. If
introduced
you
you to
can't
Star
remember,
Wars.
if you can't remember, yeah. But at least I remember things. At least that doesn't change anything.
When
You could have
did
read the first
Padme
page of a book and then
and
introduce someone else to it.
Anakin?
Doesn't mean you're better than them at it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they got married at
If I remember
19
correctly,
and 24.
it's the what is it?
Not
The
9 and
second
14.
is it the second movie where like they cut away and they're on that
No,
like
you're
the
right. You're
same
right. I
sand
totally
planet and
remember
whatever?
now. You are
There's a marriage.
100% right.
And of Attack of the Clones.
When they were
Yeah,
19
dude.
and
Oh
20
yeah.
or when they were 19 and 24 is when they actually got married.
Yo, so she waited.
She
No, it
waited
was
10
Naboo. Oh,
years.
they get married on Naboo. But
Mhm.
yo, she waited just until he was long enough, and he's like, "Yep,
She waited a
this
whole
is it."
year after. Respect.
I mean, I
She
guess.
died 3 years later. Wah, wah.
Are we still on the? I mean, I'm good.
I'm good to move on.
Well, just the conversation keeps coming back to Star Wars. So I mean,
Well, we were letting Joey finish, so we'll let Joey finish.
all right, as Joey says, I'm not. So we're gonna keep talking about Star Wars.
Has Joey ever done talking about Star Wars though? Yeah, she's the older one in this coupling.
You drew me in here with Star Wars, sir. That's true. That is the title of my stream. Also, I spelled Padme wrong in the title. I
Ollie's
straight up
chewing on
spelled it
shit.
Padme.
Did you really spell it wrong? Did she have twins? Is that how they had two kids? Yeah, she had twins.
Yep.
Luke and
twins.
Leia are twins.
Yeah.
No. No. What time is it? Oh, it is past his food time. All right, I'm going to pause quick to feed the cat. BRB.
Luke is older. Oh yeah. That's why he's the one that kisses Leia. I believe that's how that works. I don't have any siblings, so I'm just assuming that's how that works. Okay, back to you. All right, back to me, man. It's just you. It's just you and me. I think Alexa's stream is down. So, what do you got? So Anakin also fell. The hell does that mean? Wait, what? Luke, Leia were married? No. Luke and Leia kiss. Because they love, like they were in love, and so they kiss. But then Luke finds out that they're related, and then Leia ends up becoming into she gets into Han. And actually I don't even know if Luke, I think Luke just backs off because Leia's into Han, and then I think they discover it later. But I don't know what the order of that sequence is, but yeah, they did not know at the time. Yeah, they didn't know, but they liked it. No, she kisses Luke because she was pissed at Han. But Luke actually does like Leia, though. She does it as like a little like like a little manipulation. Must run in the family of these women, but no, but no, but Luke feels it, man. Yeah, exactly. That is why he went with Ben Kenobi. Yeah. I should really try to stay awake longer than 30 minutes into each Star Wars movie. You've already moved past this, Alexa. Okay. I know, I've been monitoring both chats. Okay. That is a very cool painting. Yeah, head on over to her stream if you want to watch it. But it is a very cool sunflower painting. But anyway, Anakin did not fall completely to the dark side until he choked out his wife. Sure.
I was muted on my stream.
Damn. In order to become a
Shout
full-bodied
out to
Sith,
this
you must
painting that
sacrifice
my
something
mom
you
made.
love.
Yeah, I have to do this again because I was muted. Look at this painting my mom made.
That's why you should always go over my stream, where the muting never happens.
And you don't see paintings. You don't see the pretty painting on your stream though, or my nails being.
There's two pretty paintings on my stream. Okay.
I got one pretty. I got two pretty paintings on my stream too. Take that. And I have pretty painted nails.
So do I.
No, you don't.
They're just clear.
I do really like this color. It's called Violet Aura, but it's more like a periwinkle. It's like a blue periwinkle. Anyways.
Periwinkle. Anakin's grandson, Jason his name is Jason Solo, killed Luke's wife to complete his transformation into Darth Sidious. Is that a fucking thing?
Oh.
Anakin's grandson.
All right. So on the topic of Star Wars, I'm going to segue into one of the books I read this year.
Nice. Go ahead, go for it.
So I read this book called My Roommate is a Vampire. It has a super cute cover. It's like half pink, half purple, like really cute and fun. And so I'm like, let's do it. Let's read it. We had our, Twilight marathon not too long ago. I'm like, let's read about vampires. And it was a fun little book. It wasn't amazing or anything, but it was a good time. Very cheesy, fun, lighthearted. I enjoyed it. Read through it quick. And I then go on to Goodreads to, log it and maybe write a review for it. And I'm reading a few other reviews, and I see the top one is saying, stop review bombing this just because you don't like the pairing, meaning like fan fiction pairing. So I'm like, oh shit, what's the pairing? What's this going to be based on? I'm like, I can't think of any characters from anything that are like the characters in this book. Because so in the book, the main character is the female, and she is an artist who like makes paintings while using trash and stuff. And she's really broke. And so she decides to move into this place because like there's a posting online and the rent's only $200 a month in a city. And so she's like, I have to do this. I don't have money for anywhere else. So she goes there, and the guy's a vampire trying to like learn about the modern world because he's been like in a slumber for a lot of years. And so that's like the plot. Sure. And
same, honestly.
Like, no, it's not. There's nothing. It's not the same as that. If there is a movie or television show named that, it's not the same as this book. The book just came out recently, but apparently the original story was posted on one of those, fan fiction websites, and it was my personal least favorite pairing from any media ever, and it was sadly made canon.
C-3PO and R2-D2.
No, I love them. They're great ship. But no, it is Rey and Kylo Ren. And I hate that pairing. I think it's dumb. I don't like anything about it. But it's Rey Palpatine, not Skywalker, and Kylo Ren. Them. And I found the original, and I read like the first couple pages, and even in that, like the characters are nothing like how they are in the movies. Absolutely nothing. Like there is no similaries between the characters in this book and Rey and Kylo Ren. And even in the original version, it wasn't. Like, yeah, because it's better because it's just these two random characters. Like, but who they have no reason to not get together. Besides like the whole vampire controversy, like, because like, why would you get with a vampire if he's immortal and you don't want to be immortal? But they don't really go into in this. It's very lighthearted. They talk about it a bit at the end where it seems like she is going to become a vampire. It's very glossed over. It's not like, Twilight where it's all existential, or like the Sookie Stackhouse books where she's like dead set, I'm not going to be a vampire or anything like that.
Existential? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Twilight. She's like, I need to be a vampire.
When I
It's like the
watched
plot of like
Twilight, I
half
was
the
like, wow,
movies is her saying
this is existential.
she's having an existential crisis about becoming, or no, she like about being a human and not being a vampire. Like that's literally plot of the book. So she's like, I keep getting injured. She's like, I'm gonna get older and uglier every second. She's like, I'm getting more and more wrinkly. She has that dream where she sees herself as an old woman. Remember, she's having a crisis.
Sure.
Yeah,
So what did overall
it was a fun book.
you're positive on it,
Yeah, it was
or
a fun book, but it's just insane to me that in any world it was a Rey or Kylo, like Rey and Kylo fan fiction, because it is so far detached. Like it's insane. Like there's nothing in this book that is connected to Star Wars in any way. And even what I read, like I didn't read all of the original one. It was honestly there's a lot of work done between the original and the book being published. Um, but the original one, like even in that, like it starts like the first scene with her is like her walking into the apartment and setting down her purse. Like it's just not Rey. Like it's not at all Rey. And I don't even like Rey. So that's not a negative. I like this character more than Rey, and I didn't actually really like this character very much. I like the story more than I like the character.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
She was like kind of a snobby artist, so she was a little annoying at times. She's like, my art's so important, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Wow, wow.
But it was a fun book. I enjoyed it. It's a fun light read, you know.
Before we continue, Joey's got a bunch.
Oh, yeah. He's
Darth
told me I'm
Catus
a
fell
good
to
noodle
this
and
dark
patted my
side
head.
by convincing himself he could use the dark side without becoming a Sith. One way he convinced himself, one way he convinces himself is that he looks at his grandfather's. Oh, he looks at his grandfather's fall and goes, "I'm definitely not going to make the same mistakes as my granddaddy." While hitting every pitfall his grandfather did, he also snapped one of his friends' necks when he found out he found out his Sith master, and then killed the father of his baby mama. He also
Shout
manipulated his
out.
dead brother's girlfriend to fall to the dark side by gaslighting her into thinking if she did, she could save her dead lover with his sort of time travel abilities. Star Wars extended
Lovely.
Star Wars extended universe is so much, says Nomad. Yeah, no,
That is excessive.
that shit is a lot. There's a lot going on there. All right, so reading.
How many books
Well,
have you
currently,
read this year?
I'm reading this right now. It's called Bride. I've read 6 books
Bride
this
by
year.
Ali Hazelwood, right?
Yeah, I'm only 100 pages in, so I can't really speak to the book, and also don't like talking about things that I don't like. I don't find I don't think it's necessary to just you know shit on things
Yeah.
and like bring things up and then shit on them.
No, I agree.
So I'm not going to talk about all the books that I read this year so far, but I've read 6 out of my goal being 12, but it's 12 with reading every month. Nevertheless, I just finished a book today called The Takedown,
Mm.
and I thought it was very pleasant, and I think the one thing that I kind of coming out of it, reflecting on I found the book had a very kind of like a pretty bow on it, like at the end it's just like, oh, it's very like everything's
Mhm.
good, and it's similar to a book I read last year. Oh shoot, it's it's like a fucking summer book too. Here, hold on, let me see. But anyway, it reminds me of this book I read last year, and in terms of the fact that it has like this very concise ending and everything is kind of very let's
I'm wondering
see.
which
Now that
book
you
you're
mention
talking
it, that's
about.
what it is.
Oh, I also read that book on Sri's recommendation and enjoyed it, or listened to it as an
And
audiobook.
I think it's similar to a degree of how much everything ties together. But I also think that as someone who is so the takedown follows an Asian woman and her family, and then also her work and romance and everything, um
I'm not
and
reading Old One Toe.
I can't help but feel like there's like a moment where like she confronts her family, and like there's this whole like kind of like 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 kind of big discussion where everyone's kind of like, "Hey, I'm sorry for what I did," and I can't help but feel that that is incredibly optimistic. Everything that happens in this book is like in favor of the main character. Granted, this is part of like I think part of the kind of the character of like manifesting a positive outcome. But I also think that it's like I there's a lot of things that work out for her that you know I, I
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know. I think it's tough, and because I feel like in that if I was in the same place, if I was also writing a similar situation, I would also want a pretty kind of ending for these characters that I've written. Assuming that you've kind of written these characters in a way that you like, oh man, I'm really invested in these characters yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think as an author th- I personally can't even finish books if I'm not invested in the characters that I'm writing,
Mm-hmm.
and I say that as someone who has like fucking 5 different projects that I've like have like 20,000 words written for that I
Yeah.
just like haven't made progress in. So I can kind of get that, but I also might have wanted a little bit more of like I don't know I'm mixed on it, but I finished it earlier today, so I'm not in the I haven't analyzed all of it.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Um,
I did want to say for My Roommate is a Vampire, to make it clear that I wasn't just shitting on it, I gave it 4 stars, all right, out of 5. And this was
Oh,
my
I wasn't
review that
saying
I
you were
wrote.
shitting on it. I'm just saying that there
I felt
are
like you
books.
were. I felt that felt like a personal attack.
Uh,
So I'm going to read my review that
sure.
I wrote now.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Wowie. I had no clue this was originally a Raylo fanfic until finishing the book and coming to the reviews. I've been a big Star Wars fan since childhood and strongly disliked the Raylo ship. Literally wanted to throw up when they kissed in the. Oh, I wrote moving instead of movie, but movie, not exaggerating. It's true, I gagged. As well as the sequel, um, dislike the Raylo ship as well as the sequel movies as a whole. However, this book has moved so far from the realm of Star Wars and the original characters that I never in a million years would have guessed this was based on them, so it did not detract from the story, in my opinion. I was genuinely in shock when I saw that was the original base of the story, hence my wowie at the start of this. The story itself isn't perfect by any means, but it sure is fun. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this book. It was campy and lighthearted, and if you're looking for a quick, lighthearted read, as I was when beginning this book, then you'll have a fun time. There you go. And I read this book in 2 days.
2 days. Wow.
Or 3 days, I guess, from February 9th to February 11th. So I still liked it. All right.
Yeah.
But I will say the best thing I've read this year actually has not been an actual book. It was something that you read last year, Sri. And it is this graphic novel called Stray
Oh,
Dogs. I'm going to show the
sure,
cover
sure.
of it here. There it is. It is phenomenal. If you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend. Um, just a great story. Here's the cover of that one too, because it's a fun cover. See, that's why I got it. It's a cute cover. I did read a graphic novel, and I know I said earlier that I have a hard time with graphic novels because I just read too fast, and so I can't like focus on the pictures enough.
That's my problem too. That's what I always think.
But this one really gripped my attention very
Like the
thoroughly.
other day, like the other day, I got pulled over in the library, and the officer's like, "Sir, do you know how fast you were reading?" I was like, "Sorry, officer, I read too fast. What can I say?"
So I would say that's an even bigger testament to how good Stray Dogs is, though, because I've never really thoroughly enjoyed a graphic novel I've read because like I just don't process it the correct way, and this one I absolutely loved. It was so good. Like the story was just so enthralling, and the artwork and like how it was all like how the text was with the artwork was really good for me. Um, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, it had a lot of pictures. One negative.
I need to read some of my books, says Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you certainly have
Yeah.
quite a
I've had
few to
some
pick
pretty
from.
mid books I've read this year. Not gonna lie, I won't talk about all of them because again,
Wow.
I like this reset. If I didn't really like a book, I'm not gonna like talk about it.
Sure.
I didn't even give
Oh, is that it?
ratings to both my books because I don't like giving low ratings to stuff either. Because I'm like, just because something's not my cup of tea doesn't mean I should give it a bad rating.
There we go. Yeah,
Unless
no,
it's like actively horrible, like you know what I mean. Then I'll give it a rating to like warn people, but I won't talk about it publicly.
I finished a book like 3 weeks ago and haven't picked up a new one yet. I find myself in a similar position in terms of like when I. So this is part of the reason my goal is to read 12 books this year, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not just 12, like reading 12 books in its entirety. I'm already halfway done by that metric.
Mm-hmm.
It's reading like 12 books throughout the year, so like they're spread out. Like so like some of the books that I read like in January or February that like were in between actual like like books I was physically reading, I don't count those. Like they're not like kind of on the metric for me like when I personally write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just so because like last year, for example, I made it through like 13 books in the first like 10 months, and then or like 8 months, and then the last few months I just didn't read, or like I read like one book, or something like that. So my goal is to spread myself out a little bit further. When I'm
Mm-hmm.
you know doing this stuff. So
Well, we got some big reader in chat. My mom said, being the scholar I am, I read Jessica Simpson book and Britney Spears book last month. How
oh
were they? You should read the Jeanette McCurdy book. You would like it. I read that last year, and that was a really well written book. It's called I'm Glad My Mom Died. Um, Mom, you should really read it. Just
you're telling your mom to read that book?
No, it's a really
Interesting.
good book. Um, but it shows like the hardships that she had with as a child actress and the stuff that she had to face. That's in her personal life and in her career. And it's really well written. Like it's funny, it's poignant, it's just really good. It's one of the best like autobiographies I've read. I haven't read many though, so like, do with that info as you will.
Yeah, yeah. I went to. I gave my book. That's part of the reason why I gave all my books to people who have never read books before, so that I can quote and say the best book they've ever read.
Mm-hmm.
It's a foolproof strategy, really. To be honest with you.
It's a good move.
Go ahead. Did you have any more discussion? You.
No, I don't want to talk about any besides unless you want to talk about the one series that we both started that we both have dropped. Me one book further than
If
you. I'm still
if
just
you
finishing up the last one I'm going to
if you
listen
want
to.
if you want to talk about Sookie Stackhouse, Alexa, feel free.
Can I talk
Feel
about
free.
Jackass? So it's interesting. I so back in high school I watched True Blood, the first like 5-ish seasons of it. And then something really, and like it kept getting more and more ridiculous. And then one thing really ridiculous happened at the end of a season, and I was just like, all right, yeah, this is it. I'm done here. This is my time. And I've never watched any of it again, and I've never watched past it. But it's a fun time, especially like the first season is like actually pretty fun. Um, and again, this was in the peak of like vampire stuff. So like I had Twilight happened. I'd watched Vampire Diaries. I was looking for vampire media. I was really in it as a young teen. Um, and so now though, like earlier this year, Sri found that the first three, he was looking for vampire books to read after our Twilight marathon because he was like, wow, that was so good. I need more. And right, Sri, that was your thoughts?
Nope.
And he found on Audible that he found this book that was called like Dead Until Daylight or Dead Until Dawn. What was it? What's the first one called? Dead Until Dark. That's it.
Yeah, hold
Dead
on.
Until Dark.
Yeah.
And so he started listening to it. And partway in, he realized that it was the books that the True Blood series is based on, the Sookie Stackhouse series. So apparently there's 13 of these books. I did not know there was.
Yeah.
And then
They also
plus
have
a
like
bunch of
three
short
names for the
stories
series.
and like branch off stories, like stories in the world of. Like there's a lot in this world if you want to delve into it. But so he listened to the first one and now he was like, it's pretty fun. So I listened to it as well. And then we found the first 3 of these books were actually free on Audible. So we listened to them all. And it
He always
really
says
does just get more and more
Sookie
ridiculous each
Stackhouse.
book. And so I actually have started the 4th one as well. I use a little free credit for it that I got. Because I was just
Not a free
curious.
credit. You paid for that.
No, I didn't
Am I
pay.
right?
I got a free trial. It was all free. I
Oh,
did
okay.
not pay. I wouldn't have got it I had to pay if it was money.
Damn.
That's my opinion. But I'd still though I would say like the first book was genuinely a fun time. Like, it wasn't great, but it was fun. And
Sure.
then it just
Sure.
got like more and more ridiculous.
I
But
mean, I think that they
this like I don't know. I ended up looking up what happens because I was like I can't commit to 13 books because one I'd have to buy all of them because past it, and then I was like I need to see what happens. But I did
I mean,
really
I think they're
enjoy my
short.
time with the first three. I
I
will
think they're
say
short books,
they
like
are.
the actual books themselves, like the
Mm-hmm.
physically. I think they're pretty
Yeah, they're
short, so
pretty
you
short.
can probably read them.
Oh, I could if I spot like I might still one day buy like the book set and just like read through all of them because like I didn't hate them to be clear. Like they're very fun and they're exactly what they are. Like they're campy, they're very like a little bit over the top in many ways, but yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Alexa didn't really let me talk about my opinions about the books, so it's fine.
It's your turn now.
I'm just gonna camp here. Yo, thanks, Joey. You don't have to go over to that chat. I mean, you don't have to go over there
All right, so your
for
thoughts now.
that content. Um, no, it's just not even. I can't even. Not respected enough. Apparently, I can't
I
even.
was finishing my thoughts
Can't
and
even
then
talk
you
about
can
my
say
own thing.
yours.
I feel like half the time, like I introduce Alexa to something, and then she takes over. She's like,
Meanwhile, I
actually,
introduced you to Star Wars and look how you took over that.
yeah, Alexa. But you're introducing me to Star Wars is not what got me into Star Wars. It was
It's true.
Joey making me watch Clone Wars is
It's
what got me
true.
into Star Wars.
It's true.
It's
I
like
thought it was
versus
Andor, or did you do Clone Wars before Andor?
I watched Clone Wars to get context for Andor,
Oh, okay,
and then I
okay.
binged Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Meanwhile, I'm out here. I gave you what? I gave you Community, right?
And how many times have you watched the show? 'Cause I've seen it through
Yes,
way more
and
times.
that's literally what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm saying about how I got you into it, and now you're for that's thank you for proving my point, Alexa. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. But what else? I feel like I gave you like a shit ton of great fucking shows, like Gold. Psych. I gave you Psych. You're welcome.
gave me psych.
I gave you Psych. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I gave you're. I mean, I haven't. You're not saying thank you. You're just kind of
Well, you don't
uh
appreciate the great shows I've given you, so
yeah. Let's just say that way. There's a mega community reference the other day. You have a
such a
great
good
taste in
show.
shows. Yo, thank you, Joey. I
Yeah, Community is
appreciate
a
that.
phenomenal show. I'm so excited for the
I
movie.
have not, Joey. Oh, I have, but I haven't finished it. What are you saying?
What haven't you finished?
No. What are you saying?
I said the Community movie.
Oh, yeah. I hope that
Well, it's
it,
already set. It's
it's.
happening.
I know. I hope that it's out soon. I feel like it'll be a great summer movie, but I
Well,
feel like they're way too.
They're just about to start filming, and they have to work around Donald's schedule, so it'll probably be a little bit.
What the hell is Donald Glover doing?
I know
What he's
he popped off, man. Oh, but Joel
he's
McHale's other show, Animal Control, season 2 is about to come out for that. I watched season 1. It was pretty fun. It's on Hulu, I think. I don't know what it's like on regular, like what channel, but I watched it on Hulu.
yeah. All right. So quickly before we get too late because we need to wrap it up soon.
Mhm.
The Suki Stackhouse.
Yeah,
That girl horny as hell, man. What the fuck?
she is.
Why
She
the fuck?
is. Every man she
She's
meets.
Suki is the type of person who let's age it back, right? Like she's imagine Suki is a 15-year-old princess, goes to a foreign planet, doesn't know anyone there, sees a 9-year-old boy, immediately fucking, I want to fuck this, I want to fuck this person,
Stop.
and then
No.
she spends the next, let's see here, 9 years grooming him
10.
until he's 19, and then they get married on the planet, on her home planet. That's the kind of person Suki Stackhouse is. And it can be jarring for people to read, because her first observation, as soon as anyone she sees any man, she's like,
That's attractive.
yeah, any man that's like like looks like me, for example, and she's like, wow, that piece of meat.
She is.
Wonder what he looks like naked. You know what I mean? Like it's
No, it
immediate.
is very immediate. She's
Uh,
immediately like, I want
And look, you can go through my Goodreads. I've read some spicy books. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of that. To showcase that.
Mm.
It's fucking whatever. But the thing at the end of I made it to the end of the third book, and I hit the end. I was like, well, I am perfectly content not continuing anything. I'm not, And then Alexa kept reading on and was like, "Do you want to know what happens in the fourth book?" I'm like, "No. If I did, I would have read the fourth book. And you know what I didn't do? Read the fourth book for that reason. I don't care what happens next."
But I still told you
Um,
some stuff just so you could feel good about your decision not to read the fourth one. Because there were some
yeah,
things that you were
sure.
not a fan of in the fourth one, for sure. And I knew you wouldn't be. And I'm not a big fan of One Choice either. But I'm seeing how it plays out. I actually know how it plays out because I read everything that happens online. But still listening to the rest of the book.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm sure I'll talk about whatever. If I like this book behind me, I'm sure I'll talk about that whenever we do this again. More, I am actively in conversation with Nick to get to do the Respawn Station podcast.
Mm.
He's been a busy man. I've been a busy man. I've been traveling. He's been sick. So we're finally cleaning up the schedule. So soon you should be able to see some Respawn Station podcasts episodes going up, and hopefully you guys will join us there because it's some fun stuff. We got some fun stuff, some fun chatting about video games and stuff on the way. So yeah, there it is. That has been the conversation. Go ahead and you know what? Fucking I'll plug my own books.
Do
Read
it.
read The Lesser Evil, available now on Amazon.
Great book.
Uh
Great book. My favorite of
I'd like to
his.
chat you up. Wink. Yo. If I wasn't if I was pale, I'd be blushing right now. Um Wait, Joe, you read The Lesser Evil? Oh yeah, you did. Yeah. I was like, what? You
Yeah.
fucking read Lesser. Read the Witching Hour, Joey. There you go. You want fucking homework?
Or has he read Nightmare from the Deep?
I don't know. Have you read Nightmare from the Deep, Joey? Now she's putting you on the spot now.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Great books.
yeah. I said the witch. Yes, I have a signed copy. Wow. Of Nightmare or Lesser? Lesser probably not the word. Not the one word title that you'd be looking
Mm.
for.
The Lesser Evil. TLE.
Okay, of Nightmare. Of Nightmare. Okay. Yeah, I okay, that makes sense. I did give you a signed copy. Unless you forged my signature and threw away the copy that I gave you. But no, yeah. So you haven't read The Witching Hour. That's what I'm finding out. So fucking
Wow.
go read The Witching Hour. There's your homework. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully
Mhm.
you enjoyed. This
I
has been
did.
an hour about talking about Star Wars and then Dune and then Star Wars again and then Star Wars fan fiction and then ultimately here we
Vampires.
are. I read the first chapter of what?
The Witching Hour.
Oh, The Witching Hour.
I assume. It's too scary, I bet. Creepy book.
Oh, is Joey too scared to read the books? Oh, Joey, you too scared to read the books?
Wow. Just insulting your viewers.
He's not a fucking viewer, all right? Witching, witching, you had me. What? That's. Oh, I'd get that. Fuck,
Witching
I'd say.
Hour. You had him editing and then he handed it off.
Wait, are you talking about not the Witching Hour? Anyway, this is beyond the. Go read my books. They're available on Amazon. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit the like button. If you're watching this on YouTube, why isn't it? There it is.
Your
Leave a like
balloons.
button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on Twitch if you have the means to do so. Witching Hour
What
is
movie
the
you
one
want?
about the prison. You are correct. And yeah, as always, thanks for
Have a
watching.
good
And until
night.
next time, have a good night, a good morning, and
And
a
a damn
damn good
good
time.
time.